Now that we're in the throes of the holiday season, a lot of talk, a lot of focus over the last number of years has been mental health and dealing with holiday stress. Is there any definition, or what is by definition holiday stress?
I don't know if there's a specific definition to it. But of course, a lot of the contributing factors that we see coming into the holidays is we have a lot of extra socializing, increased spending. A lot of the times our budgets are being stretched, not only for end of the year expenses, but because of the holidays and additional cost. Decorating can get really intensive, both in time and labor, but also additional cost. And then depending on if you travel for the holidays, that can be increased stress with trying to manage the cost, but also the accommodations factor of it. With school, we have a lot of extra school activities that are going on as we start to prepare for Christmas break and New Year's break. And so it's just this entire season of busy, busy, busy. Like everybody is going 90 to nothing. And that can increase our mental stress. So we start to see kind of some increases in anxiety levels, maybe depression, especially when it comes to like the financial aspects of trying to manage all those additional costs as well. And as we see those increases in anxiety and depression, it can also impact our bodies in different ways. So changes in appetite, insomnia, headaches, muscle tension, and just overall feeling overwhelmed by
Yeah.
all the activities and things we have to accomplish in a short period of time.
You mentioned, well, not only just stress, but anxiety and depression. It
Mhm.
seems that would fit into to those who may not have family, or is that not the case here?
I don't think it's specifically just to those who don't have family. The holidays also can bring up a lot of grief over the loss of family or even changes in our individual lives that are impacting how we view the holidays. So even if you've had some family dynamic changes over the last year of whether it's adding a family member to the family or the loss of a family member through either death or separation, divorce, marital issues or complications, it can skew how we start to view the holidays. And so as we look at that, we also start paying attention to some of the traditions we may have had in the past may have to kind of change. Depending on what the exact circumstance may be, whether that's, trying to embrace being a single parent or share time with other, co-parents during the holiday season. That can change some of your accommodations for either dates or times. So I think we tend to think of it as more of an increase in depression and anxiety for those who may not have that support system. And that's where, kind of having a plan as you move into the holidays can be very vital to your mental health success.
Talk about that for a minute, because when someone who is going through this and they know the holidays are coming up, is there a fail safe for any of this, or is it just you got to do it person by person? What is a good plan?
Yeah. So it is person by person because every individual is going to react different to the holidays. And I think it is important for us to remember that, while I would say the majority of the population gets excited about the holidays, there is an equal proportion of people who are not excited about the holidays because of other life stressors and changes. One of the things that I would suggest is having a plan on how you're going to deal with that. For some people, family time and spending time with extended family that they may not be able to get to see a lot of the time throughout the year can be a really exciting, powerful, good healing measure. But for other people, it brings a lot of tension. And so we have to be kind of mindful of that. And so, first of all, being self aware enough to say, here's some stressors, or here's how maybe certain family members or even topics of conversation trigger me, and having a plan in place for how you're going to approach that. Something I've used in my past is actually having a code word with like spouse or family member or friend of, hey, if I say this word, that's kind of your cue that it's time to bail out. And so you've got that support person who can help you do so without it being this like, well, are you just mad and you're taken off? Because it can be overwhelming. Or just knowing like, hey, we're only going to be able to spend a certain amount of time here. Um, Having a plan in place also for things that may show up that may trigger you. So, especially when we start talking about the holidays, something in mental health that we want to be aware of as well as addictions. A lot of the times with the holidays, we have an overabundance of celebrating with food or alcohol. The increased societal interactions can also open us up to maybe potential drug or substance abuse use. And so, having a plan for how you're going to handle that, of like, oh, if somebody offers me a drink, well, I may not feel comfortable going, hey, I'm an alcoholic, I can't have that, or sharing all of my story, because you only have to share what you want to share. But having a plan of just saying, oh, no, thank you, or, oh, hey, I'm on a new medication, I can't drink while I take it. Whatever the thing is, it is okay to kind of white lie if need be to protect your own sanity and recovery efforts. There are all kinds of AANA Celebrate Recovery groups in the area that run, and some of them actually will do 24/7 meetings on the holidays. We had this over Thanksgiving where a local chapter ran 24/7, so that if somebody needed to come in and have an in-person meeting, that was available within our community. So knowing, hey, I may need to go head up a meeting either online or, in person before I go to this family event. But being able to kind of prepare yourself so that you have a game plan in mind before you find yourself in a situation that might be triggering or concerning to you. I think that's incredibly important.
It's interesting that if you are not going through this and you see someone who is, look, this is a happy time of year. You should be happy with us. You should be enjoying this. You should be celebrating with us. And it really is not that simple.
No. No, and it's okay to grieve during this time of the year as well. I think often we think of grieving as, the loss of a family member. And just as example, last year was the first time that my grandmother was not with us for the holidays, as she passed away last summer. And so it was a very difficult time for our family as we're adjusting to like, okay, she's not here to carry on some of those traditions. And so they're moving into new family members carrying on the tradition, or, okay, we're going to end this one here. And so that can kind of be a time for you to sit down with your family and talk about, do we want to continue this? Do we not? How do we adjust for it? But also there's ways to honor people in our grieving process and be able to still pay homage to those individuals that have been so impactful and important in our lives in a way that makes sense for you, whether that's a certain ornament on the tree, or, saying something, around the table about that person. I think sometimes we push it away so that we don't have to feel bad and feel negative and feel sad. But it's also okay that if you get a little emotional and you need to step away from the family, table or gift opening or whatever that may look like for you, to go cry for a minute, that's okay as well. Because there's probably somebody else there who's having the same emotion. But as a society, we get into those repressed emotions, and that's not healthy for us. But also, there's the other side of it of, like I said, not everybody is going to be experiencing the same feelings about the holidays. And so it may be individually you need to do something that kind of gives you something to look forward to or an excitement. Something I've tried in my life is just, I went through a divorce several years ago. And so the holidays were not an exciting time period during that. You're doing a lot of grieving, and it can be very overwhelming. So, saving one gift for my family Christmas to open on Christmas Day, because waking up alone can be a very hurtful and hard thing to go through. But also focusing on gratitude can be a really tremendous mind shift for us. And so instead of focusing on what you don't have or what you should be doing or what past holidays looked like, focusing on the opportunities that are in front of you. And so I use it as like instead of I should be doing X right now, I get to do this. And that can be really life-changing. Or just focusing on 5 good things that happened today to me, so that I'm focusing on the positive aspects of life and not solely the negative. Again, still grieve, still be upset, still process those emotions, But as you start to focus more on an attitude of gratitude, you will see your mind shift start to kind of overtake and change.
Is, we talk about this a lot during the holidays. Is this the, I hate to use the word, worst time of year to go through this?
Mhm.
It seems that there should be this kind of focus all year round.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think because of how much focus we do put on the holidays, we pay more attention to it now, and we have more conversations about it because we know that it's coming up. But also we have three big events in, a month and a half time span. You've got Thanksgiving bleeding right into Christmas, bleeding right into New Year's. And so then it kind of calms down until your next big holiday of like Valentine's Day, maybe. And then we have all these spread out holidays throughout the year. So we don't really think about it in the same context of like, oh, it's all this combined. But a lot of these feelings and emotions and tips and tricks, so to speak, still completely applicable for other holidays, Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, especially when it comes to like the addiction part of it. And so having those conversations and creating your support system so that you can reach out is incredibly vital. And that's where I do think, programs like AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery can be so important, because I've had those people in my life where they know I'm going through a hard time, but they reach out on, Thanksgiving or whatever. And just even if it's a text message or a phone call, that can be truly important for kind of turning it around. You don't have to force it on somebody and force them to like, hey, come to our party, come hang out with us. But don't be afraid to check in on them either, because so many people are afraid of having hard conversations or setting with that person and their emotions. And again, you don't have to say anything, but just being present can be truly life-changing.
And to go with that, and bottom line, you really just need to focus on yourself.
Yes. Yes, self-care is incredibly important this time of the year. And some of the ways we can do that, of course, move your body. So exercise is obviously important. It releases endorphins, and endorphins make us feel good. So practicing self-care, being able to, if we need to step away for a little bit and go read a book or watch a movie, something that brings us joy can be incredibly important. One of the things that I think we do in this time period kind of tend to do is overschedule ourselves. And so we get so caught up in the, oh, I have to complete this to-do list to prepare for this party or this holiday or cook or clean or all these things of that we force upon ourselves most of the time, that we start to kind of lose sight of what this time of year is really supposed to be about for us individually. And that doesn't have to be in a religious context per se, but something you can do individually or as a family is kind of talk about your core values. What is most important to you, and what do you want your holiday season to be about? So is that just having a peaceful holiday season that's not so chaotic and busy? Is that family time? Like I said, family time is incredibly important for some people, not as important for others. Think about what your values are and then plan your holiday around those values. But you don't have to overschedule yourself. You don't have to overspend past your means or your budget. That's probably going to bring you more stress. Um, Focusing on your values is going to allow you to be more present in the moment. And truly, that's going to bring you more joy. Don't be afraid to say no. It's totally okay to say no. And you don't have to give an explanation, because it's about protecting your inner peace and thereby your mental health.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I sure appreciate the time.